संयुक्त राष्ट्र के जनरल ਸਕੱਤਰ एंटोनियो गुटरेस ने कहा है कि यूक्रेन ते रूस के हमले कारण सप्लाई ना होने कारण गरीब देशों को भोजन ऊर्जा ते वित्त के इक्को समय के संकटों तो आर्थिक तबाही का सामना करना पै रहा है। रूस संयुक्त तेल और गैस का विश्व सब तो उच्चा निर्यात है तो रूस ते यूक्रेन दोवें अनाज के प्रमुख उत्पादक ने ते ये मिल के विश्व निर्यात का 1/3 हिस्सा है। विश्व वस्तुओं दी कीमतां ने रिकॉर्ड तोड़ दिते ने जिन्हां देशां नूं आयात ते निर्भर करदे होए नुकसान पहुंचाया है।
Now, since the Russian Federation's invasion of Ukraine, the world's attention has been focused on the war's terrifying levels of death, destruction, and suffering. And from the start, the United Nations has been actively engaged in delivering humanitarian support to the people in Ukraine, the people that are paying the highest price, and to the host countries of the fastest growing refugee crisis in Europe since the Second World War. But less attention has been paid to the global impact of the war in all its dimensions, in a world that was already witnessing increased poverty, hunger, and social unrest. The war is supercharging a three-dimensional crisis: food, energy, and finance, that is pummeling some of the world's most vulnerable people, countries, and economies. And all this comes at a time when developing countries are already struggling with the slate of challenges not of their making: the COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, and the lack of access to adequate resources to finance the recovery in the context of persistent and growing inequalities. We are now facing a perfect storm that threatens to devastate the economies of many developing countries. And that is why, in the earliest days of this war, I established the Global Crisis Response Group on Food, Energy and Finance, facilitated by a task team in the UN Secretariat, reporting to a steering committee involving all UN agencies and international financial institutions. Ms. Greenspan will go through the recommendations, but I want to highlight two overarching points made crystal clear in this report. First, the impact of the war is global and systemic. As many as 1.7 billion people, 1/3 of whom are already living in poverty, are now highly exposed to disruptions in food, energy, and finance systems that are triggering increases in poverty and hunger. 36 countries count on Russia and Ukraine for more than half of their wheat imports, including some of the poorest and most vulnerable countries of the world. And prices were already on the rise, but the war has made a bad situation far worse. Wheat and maize prices have been very volatile since the war began, but are still 30% higher just since the start of the year. At the same time, Russia is a top energy supplier. Oil prices are up more than 60% over the past year, accelerating the prevailing trends. The same goes for natural gas prices, which have risen by 50% in recent months. And fertilizer prices have more than doubled.